Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I'm, of course, Greg Guy.
My name is Casey.
Anyway, we will be, or actually, Casey here will be presenting our next iteration of Banghead History. So I'll just go ahead and toss it over to you. What are we going to be talking about here today?
I think today we're going to be talking about a brief timeline of the stock market.
Stock market.
And we're going to start basically from the 1400s until current day.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about kind of like the birth of stock market and trading around the late 1400s in Antwerp, which is modern-day Belgium. It basically becomes the center of international trade, where merchants buy goods, and then they anticipate where prices rise and fall, and then some bond trading begins to occur. They do promissory notes and bonds, basically, is where the beginning is.
Okay.
So now we come up, we're going to move 300 years in advance from there to the 1700s. No, I'm sorry, we're going to go 200 years in advance to the 1600s, where basically the first modern day stock trading is occurring, and that is in Amsterdam, which is in current day Amsterdam.
It's a fun time over there.
Yeah.
Never been.
Apparently there's a red light district, and there is...
I don't think it's the same as it used to be, though.
I don't know. There's there's drugs are fully legal there for the most part. And everything is named Dam. There's the Dam Road that leads to the Dam Square where the Dam statue is.
Okay.
I learned this when I was 7, and every time I walked onto a road or something, I kept on asking if this is the Dam something or other, and I continuously was yelled at by my mother.
Shout out Casey's mom.
Now, I'm going to continue with my damn history.
Presentation.
My damn presentation.
Fair enough.
So, in the 1600s, there's basically the East India companies issued stocks that led to a financial boom back then, which was followed by a bust, and when it was revealed that most companies conducted very little business.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't think they were actually called stocks at that point.
Right. I don't know what they were called. Let me see. So all it says is publicly traded, and basically they were just obviously East India companies. They were moving trade items from India and from China, and basically the Far Eastern areas. And at a time before the Spanish were in complete control of that trade, and then there was a war broke out, and then after the war, the East India Company was created, and they began moving silks and spices and anything of value from India, China, or that portion of the world.
Right. Well, I would also assume that whatever they were offering at that point in time was the precursor to what a stock became later on.
Right. Now we're going to move up to the 1700s, which in New York, a small group of merchants made the Buttonwood Tree Agreement. So I'm guessing there was a tree, and it was located somewhere in Buttonwood in New York, and they came up with an agreement. Basically, that it was a very small portion of stocks and companies that basically they could centralize and decide what these companies were actually worth, prior to buying stocks in them, instead of just the company saying, "Hey, we're worth this much. Do you want to invest in us?" They actually had like basically a baseline where they could say that these companies are worth this at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that.
1790, Philadelphia Stock Exchange is formed, and it helped spur the development of the U.S. financial sectors and the country's expansion west. Now, I don't really have a lot of information about all of these. I'm just basically going through. I got this. A lot of this is from SoFi Learn. Then we
kind of like a brief synopsis.
Right. Basically, yeah. Basically, just a brief synopsis. Then, 1896, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is created. It initially had 12 components that were mainly industrial companies. 1923, the early version of the S&P 500 is created by Henry Barnum Poor's Company. So Henry Barnum is, I just, not that I haven't gone through this, but now I'm thinking about it. Isn't Barnum
Barnum and Bailey
Barnum
Circus?
and Bailey Circus?
I don't know if they're the same person.
Yeah, I don't know either. It begins by tracking.
If you know, let us know down in the comments.
Yeah. It begins by tracking 90 stocks by 1926. 1929, the U.S. stock market crashed after the roaring.
Anyway, stock market crash.
Speculators made leveraged bets on the stock market and inflated the prices. 1941, S&P's founded when Poor's Publishing merges with Standard Statistics. 1971.
Forming Standard & Poor's, I believe.
Right. Trading begins on another U.S. stock exchange, the National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotations, also known as the NASDAQ. In 1987, corporate buyouts and portfolio insurance helped prices in the market go up until October 19th, which became known as Black Monday.
Black Monday. Famous from Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
That's how that's the first time I heard the term anyway.
Yeah. 2008 stock market crash after a boom and bust of the housing market, along with the proliferation of mortgage-backed securities in the financial sector. So, I got a little information here on the NASDAQ. It was founded in 1939 under the provisions of the 1938 Maloney Act, amended to the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. It was also the leading founder of NASDAQ stock market. So the NASD was first, and then it basically moved into becoming the NASDAQ.
Do you know a lot about the Securities Act of 1934?
I do not.
It is an outdated piece of legislation that I believe needs to be updated.
Okay. I mean, that's something that we could run through on financial.
Yeah, I'd have to do a little more research into it, but I mean, it directly, I'm definitely referring to crypto in this point in time.
Right.
They're trying to account that law from 1934 and apply it to the cryptocurrency space, which just does not make any sense.
Right, right. So, from the NASDAQ officially separated from NASD and began operating as National Exchange in 2006 and 2007. It combined with the Scandinavian Exchange Group OMX to become the NASDAQ OMX Group, which is the largest exchange company globally, powering 1 in 10 of the world's security trades. And then we're going to move to the Dow, which actually refers to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It is an index that people follow in order to get an indication of how well a stock is doing.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, are they not the average or the there's some calculation that goes on to where, if one stock moves 10% and another one moves 1%, they all get averaged together somehow.
Well, this next section kind of answers that in a way. It says both the Dow and NASDAQ are terms that refer to an index on or an average of a great many number of numbers derived from the price movements of certain stocks. So basically they just average certain, so there's like the numbers on how much something is making, how much something is losing. I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And basically
I would assume volume will be somewhere in that equation as well.
Right, and they're basically calculating how much a stock should be worth. And they both have their own sector. So a stock in the NASDAQ is not a stock. There's no stocks in the NASDAQ and there's no stock in the Dow that are both in the same. They're not together.
Different listing.
Right. So if you wanted to invest in the Dow Jones and NASDAQ, they cannot be traded because they are not investments. They are indexes. They are representations of performance of grouping stocks in the form of mathematical average. You can, however, purchase index funds, which are either mutual funds or exchange funds, ETFs that track these indexes. And then,
do you know what ETF stands for?
Exchange traded funds.
You're learning. We're going to get you on the financial bandwagon soon enough.
I am a simple man, and I am not well versed in these things. This is basically a learning lesson for me, as well as maybe some other people out there. But basic understanding of how the world works is something that everybody should have, and I have not been on the. I have not been super focused on basically stocks and bonds and all of that stuff. But not that saying that I haven't had them. I'm just saying that I didn't understand them, and if it was going to make me money, sure, why not? You know what I mean? Basically, just an idiot running around with like a chicken with my head cut off.
Fair enough.
And I'm not going to go much further. Basically, NASDAQ is more of a technologies-based trading, and Dow Jones is more of like an industrial type trading. For example, and then NASDAQ has about 3,000. Right now, has as of the time that was written, 3,627 or 72 stocks, and the Dow Jones was only about 30 stocks. So, for example, NASDAQ has Apple, Cisco, Microsoft, and Dow Jones is more like Coca-Cola, that type of thing.
I got you.
And that will conclude my brief timeline and small amounts of history of the stock market. Is there anything you'd like to add, or?
Yeah, well, no, it felt like a good, history of, the evolution, I would say.
Right.
Of, different stock markets over time and, up until,
right.
The current frame that we're in now.
I was trying to just basically get started on, like, how it started.
Yeah.
To where it's ending up now. There's a lot more involved in understanding it all.
Oh, yeah.
But basically that is a brief timeline.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was very informative. It didn't really know that in the 1400s?
Right.
That, I have to assume that had something to do with the Knights Templar.
I don't know anything about it.
But if you haven't checked out our history episode on the Knights Templar, go back in time and find it.
I think that maybe like back then, there's just more of a. It was basically just the main trading hub for Europe at the time, and there's always people out there trying to figure out ways to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
That's been correct throughout time, just figuring out a way to screw the little man.
yeah, in general, I do believe that stock markets remove wealth from smaller suburban to country areas and bring them to more populated areas.
Well, that's going to be a discussion for a different day, I think.
Right.
That's not really a history debate.
Right.
But anyway, well, thank you for putting that together, Casey. You know, there you go. I'm, of course, Greg Guy. That was Baghead History, a brief history of stock markets and where they came from and where they are now. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, thank you for watching.